What if I told you that the most powerful takedown of the Harris family did not come from 50 Cent? Did not come from a rival rapper, a federal agent, or a journalist with a Pulitzer. It came from a young woman who sat down in a courtroom, looked straight ahead, and started talking. And once she started, she did not stop. King Harris, the son of T.I., the son of Tiny, the kid who grew up with cameras on him, money around him, and opportunity in front of him, is now sitting at the center of a story so messy, so layered, so deeply uncomfortable that even the people who built him up are stepping back. His own father said he was heading to prison. His own mother could not defend him on Instagram Live fast enough. And now, the woman closest to him has walked into a courtroom and said things that the whole internet is repeating. So the question is, how does a kid born into everything end up losing everything in front of a judge? And what exactly did she say? Because whatever it was, it has the internet on fire. And we are getting into all of it. Right now, let us start from the beginning. Because to understand why a young woman walked into a courtroom and dismantled the Harris family piece by piece, you need to understand exactly who the Harris family is and how they got to this moment. Clifford Joseph King Harris III, better known as King Harris, born August 25, 2004, in Atlanta, Georgia. Son of T.I., one of the greatest rappers to ever come out of the South. Son of Tiny, one of the most recognizable women in R&B. From the moment this kid entered the world, he had more privilege in his left hand than most people see in a lifetime. Private schools, designer clothes, a father with industry connections that stretch from Atlanta to Los Angeles, a mother whose name alone opens doors, a family with a reality TV show that turned their personal life into a brand. And what did King Harris do with all of that? What did he do with the access, the opportunity, the blueprint that his parents laid out right in front of him? He squandered it. Publicly. Repeatedly. On camera. And on Instagram, where apparently every bad decision looks better with a filter. Now here is the thing about King Harris that most people do not say out loud. King was not just a kid making mistakes. King was a kid who was warned, loudly, clearly, repeatedly, by the very man who gave him his name. T.I. sat on Instagram Live and told the world, told his own son, told anyone who would listen, that King was headed to prison. Not maybe prison. Not possibly prison. Prison. Full stop. T.I. said it like a man who had already served the sentence himself and was watching his son buy a ticket to the same destination. And King kept going. He kept pushing. He kept posting. He kept pulling out in front of police cruisers and riding around with warrants and guns and marijuana and the kind of energy that says, I do not care what happens next. That energy has a cost. And in 2025, that cost came due. Let us go back to the beginning of the legal troubles, because this is not a one-incident situation. This is a pattern. And patterns, unlike Instagram posts, cannot be deleted. It started in 2022 with a seat belt. A seat belt. One of the most minor traffic violations a human being can commit. You get pulled over, you get a ticket, you go home, you buckle up next time. That is the normal response. King's response was to get arrested, get his mugshot taken, post it on Instagram, give the middle finger to the camera, and type out, and I want you to really sit with this, I'm back. F*****12. Wild beast. Wild beast. He called himself a wild beast. Over a seatbelt violation. In a world where his father had already served federal prison time. In a world where T.I. had already sat him down and explained exactly what this path looks like when it reaches its end. But wait. Because the seatbelt was just the surface. Underneath it, there were more charges from that same period. Speeding. Driving on a suspended license. DUI. And then, the part that really tells you everything you need to know about King Harris at that moment in his life. He did not show up to court. He got a warrant for failure to appear. He looked at a court date and said, not today. A court date. In Georgia. Where his father's legal history is already part of the public record. And people around him let it happen. That is the part that matters. Because King Harris did not get to this point in a vacuum. He got here with people around him who either could not stop him or did not try hard enough. And some of those people are now starting to talk. Now here is where it gets interesting. Here is where the story stops being about traffic violations and starts being about something much, much deeper. Because the girlfriend situation, the one this entire video is built around, did not come out of nowhere. It came from a long history of people in King Harris's inner circle watching, waiting, and eventually deciding that silence was no longer an option. Our sources, and yes, we have sources, multiple sources, people close to the situation who spoke on condition of anonymity because, let me be honest with you, nobody wants to be next on King's Instagram story, describe a pattern of behavior that goes far beyond what the public has seen. One source, a person who was present at multiple Harris family gatherings over the past 2 years, described the atmosphere inside the Harris circle as chaotic at best and controlling at worst. There's this sense, this source told us, that the family name is supposed to protect everything and everyone. Like the Harris name is a shield. But it's also a leash. And King has been pulling against that leash since the day he understood what it meant. Now let us talk about the girlfriend. The young woman who walked into that courtroom with documents, with receipts, with a kind of calm that only comes from someone who has been rehearsing this moment for a very long time. She did not go in there crying. She did not go in there nervous. She went in there prepared. And what she laid out, according to people familiar with the proceedings, was not just a personal grievance. It was a timeline. A detailed, documented, chronological account of events that connected King Harris to a series of incidents that, when laid out side by side, paint a picture that nobody in the Harris camp wants the public to see. She reportedly described encounters that escalated in ways that made her fear for her own safety. She spoke about the environment around King, the people he kept close, the decisions he made, the attitude he carried that made those around him feel like they were always one wrong word away from a situation they could not control. She described a version of King Harris that was very different from the one on Instagram waving at his fans. And then she said something that the courtroom, according to our inside source, did not expect. She said T.I. knew. Not suspected. Not had a feeling. Knew. That T.I. was aware of the environment his son was creating around himself, was aware of the people in that environment, and had chosen, time and again, to address it privately rather than publicly, to protect the brand rather than the people being affected by it. Let that land for a second. Because if what she said in that courtroom is even partially accurate, then this is not just King Harris's problem. This becomes a T.I. problem. And a T.I. problem in 2025, after everything this family has already been through, the allegations, the lawsuits, the dismissed cases that still left marks in the court of public opinion, is a problem that does not go away with a press release. The public reaction online was immediate and it was not kind. Within hours of the initial report surfacing, the Harris family name was trending on every platform. X, was having a full-court conversation about what accountability looks like when you are famous, when you are wealthy, when you have a legal team and a PR team and a reality TV platform that has spent years building a specific image of your family. One user wrote, T.I. has been performing the role of concerned father on Instagram Live for years. But performing concern and actually doing something about it are two very different things. Another wrote, King Harris had every resource, every opportunity, and the only thing he chose to do with it was prove that money doesn't fix character. And one post that went absolutely viral, racked up over 2 million impressions in under 24 hours, said simply, the girlfriend said what the family should have said years ago. That post hit different because it was true in the way that only the internet can articulate. Everyone in King's life had been talking around the problem. His father was warning him on Instagram Live instead of handling it privately. His mother was defending him in interviews. His siblings were watching from a distance. And the people actually inside the situation, the ones who were living in close proximity to the chaos, were being expected to stay quiet. Until one of them didn't. Now let us talk about the money side of this, because you know it always comes back to money. King Harris has been living a very specific lifestyle. Sources close to the situation describe a spending pattern that would make your head spin, not because it was illegal, but because it was reckless in the way that only someone who has never had to worry about consequences can be reckless. Designer everything. Custom cars. Jewelry that cost more than most people's homes. An entourage that moved like a small army. And all of it happening while King had active warrants, pending charges, and a legal situation that a smarter person would have been quietly resolving instead of loudly ignoring. He moved like the law didn't apply to him, one source said. Like his last name was a get-out-of-jail-free card. And for a while, it kind of was. But here is the thing about get-out-of-jail-free cards. Eventually, the bank runs out of them. And the girlfriend? She had a front-row seat to all of it. She watched the spending. She watched the decisions. She watched the people coming in and out of that circle. She watched what happened when someone pushed back. And she documented it. Quietly, carefully, over time. The kind of documentation that does not look like anything until you spread it all out on a courtroom table, and suddenly it looks like everything. The Harris family's legal team reportedly responded to her testimony with a strategy that involved discrediting her personal history, questioning her motives, and suggesting that her claims were financially motivated. A classic playbook. A playbook that works until the person on the other side of it has too much documentation to ignore. According to our source inside the proceedings, the judge, and I want you to remember this moment, stopped the defense's attorney mid-argument and asked a single question. "Counselor, do you have anything that contradicts the timeline she has provided?" The pause that followed that question told its own story. Now let us talk about what happens next. Because the courtroom moment is just the beginning. The real consequences of what this girlfriend said are still unfolding, and the ripples are going to reach places that the Harris family has not even started preparing for. First, let us talk about the legal exposure. King Harris already had an arrest record that included multiple charges across multiple counties in Georgia. Add to that the testimony from someone in his inner circle, someone who was present, someone who has documentation, someone who the court apparently found credible enough to take seriously, and you have the foundation for something much more serious than a traffic violation. Sources familiar with Georgia state law note that certain patterns of behavior, when documented and presented by a credible witness, can elevate what might otherwise be considered personal disputes into criminal territory. We are talking about potential charges that carry real weight. Not seat belt tickets. Not failure to appear. The kind of charges that require a serious legal defense and a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of luck. And here is where T.I.'s involvement becomes legally and personally complicated. Because T.I. is not just King's father. T.I. is a man with his own legal history. Federal conviction, served time, built back his career and his image with extraordinary discipline. He has spent years crafting the narrative of redemption, of a man who made mistakes and came back from them. That narrative is now sitting in the path of his son's chaos. If the girlfriend's testimony credibly implicates T.I.'s awareness of King's behavior, and according to our sources, she was specific enough to make that implication very hard to dismiss, then T.I. is not just dealing with his son's legal situation. He is potentially dealing with questions about his own conduct, his own knowledge, his own choices. His attorney reportedly spent an emergency weekend in late January reaching out to multiple parties, trying to assess the damage and determine what exactly had been said and to whom. The meeting, described by one source as not casual, lasted several hours and ended with what one attendee described as a new level of urgency that had not been present before. The music side of things is also facing turbulence. T.I.'s Kill the King album was performing beautifully. The 50 Cent beef had given it momentum. The song Let Him Know was charting. Billboard was paying attention. And then this. Because nothing kills album momentum like your son's girlfriend walking into a courtroom and dismantling your family's reputation on the record. Industry insiders are already whispering about whether brand partnerships that T.I. has carefully cultivated over the past several years are going to hold. A source within the entertainment industry, speaking anonymously, said, "Labels and brands can survive one scandal. They've survived two. 3 becomes a pattern, and patterns scare investors." Meanwhile, King Harris himself has reportedly gone quiet on social media in the days following the courtroom session, which, if you know King Harris, tells you everything. This is a young man who once posted his own mugshot and gave the middle finger. A young man who posted a tombstone with a dead woman's name on it during a rap beef. A young man who has never, not once, in his entire public life chosen silence when noise was available. And now he is quiet. That silence is louder than anything he has ever posted. Tiny has also reportedly been affected in ways that go beyond the public eye. Sources close to the family describe the home atmosphere as tense in a way that even reality television cannot contain. She has been one of King's most vocal defenders. She has shown up for him in interviews, on social media, in the middle of family arguments broadcast live on Instagram. And now she is reportedly in a position where defending him requires defending things that she may not fully understand, may not have full information about, or may not be able to publicly justify. The fan response has split almost perfectly down the middle. Half the internet believes King Harris is a young man who has been let down by the adults in his life, a kid who needed structure and boundaries and got cameras and clout instead. The other half believes that at 21 years old, with every resource available, King made choices and those choices have consequences. Both sides are right. And that is the uncomfortable truth that no one in the Harris camp wants to sit with. Because King Harris is not a villain in the traditional sense. He is not a cartoon. He is a young man who was handed an extraordinary life and an extraordinary set of challenges simultaneously. The spotlight that made him visible also made him a target. The wealth that gave him access also gave him the rope to hang himself with. The famous last name that opened doors also meant that every mistake he made was documented, shared, and replayed for public consumption. But none of that excuses what the girlfriend described in that courtroom. None of it erases the pattern. And none of it changes the fact that the people closest to King Harris, his father, his mother, his siblings, his inner circle, all had opportunities to intervene more forcefully, more consistently, and more privately than they did. T.I. chose Instagram Live over actual intervention. Tiny chose defense over accountability. And King chose noise over reflection. Every single time. The girlfriend was simply the first person in his orbit with the courage, or the desperation, depending on how you look at it, to take everything she witnessed and put it somewhere that the family could not delete it, could not scroll past it, could not respond to with a diss track. She put it in a courtroom. Under oath. On the record. And now the Harris family has to live with that record. Every lawyer, every judge, every journalist, every jury member in any future proceeding will have access to what was said in that room. It does not disappear. It does not get buried by a trending tweet or a new album rollout. The legal system keeps records. And King Harris is learning, the hard way, the only way he seems capable of learning anything, that the world outside of Instagram has different rules. You cannot block a judge. You cannot delete a deposition. You cannot go live on Instagram and explain your way out of sworn testimony. The fallout is not over. In fact, if what our sources are describing is accurate, the fallout has barely begun. There are reportedly additional witnesses being identified, additional documentation being reviewed, additional people in King's orbit who have been approached about what they know and when they knew it. One source said, and I want you to hear this clearly, she was the first domino. She was not the last. So here we are, at the end of a story that is not actually over. We started with a young man born into one of the most famous families in hip-hop history. A man whose father told him, out loud, on camera, to the world, that he was going to prison if he did not change course. A man who had every warning, every resource, every opportunity to choose differently. And we ended with a courtroom. With a young woman who sat down, opened her mouth, and said the things that nobody in the Harris camp was willing to say. The question I want to leave you with is this, and I genuinely want your answer in the comments below because I read every single one. Is King Harris a product of his circumstances? A kid who never stood a chance against the weight of fame and the absence of real accountability? Or is he simply a young man who made choices, bad ones, repeatedly, loudly, publicly, and is now facing the consequences that were always waiting for him at the end of that road? And what about T.I.? Is he a father who tried everything he could and still could not save his son from himself? Or is he a man who spent more time managing his son's public image than actually addressing the behavior behind it? Because those are two very different things. And the answer matters. Not just for King Harris. Not just for the Harris family. But for every kid growing up in the spotlight right now, watching this story unfold, trying to figure out where the line is between loyalty to your family and accountability to the truth. The girlfriend drew that line. In a courtroom. Under oath. Now the whole world is watching to see what King Harris does next. Drop your thoughts below. Tell me what you think happens in the next chapter of this story. Tell me if you think King can turn it around or if this train has already left the station and there is no pulling it back. And if you are new here, if this video found you and you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This channel does not give you the version of the story that the PR teams want you to hear. We give you the full picture, the unfiltered breakdown, the story behind the story. Hit subscribe. Hit the bell. Because the next chapter of the King Harris saga is coming. And when it drops, and it will drop, You are going to want to be here for it. We are not done. We are just getting started.